Why are FICO credit scores increasing during a recession? And why does the stimulus continue to screw people over, guys? Welcome back, it's Matthew here, your cash flow coach. And today, I want to discuss something that's very important but might surprise you with this ongoing economic recession that we're in, as it's probably not even on your radar and needs to be. FICO scores, right? These famous scores all the banks use, they just hit record highs during the pandemic. Now today I want to break down why that's happening, as well as some simple ways for you to boost your own personal credit scores and take advantage of those right now, as well as why the stimulus is screwing people and why to avoid it. So welcome back to the VIP channel. This is where we help you go further, faster financially, and we help you do it safely and efficiently. So make sure you're a subscriber now. Now I'm going to be the first one to admit that I was a bit shocked with the latest announcement that the average FICO scores had an upswing. And this was just released in July of 2020, and it's now sitting right now at an all-time record high of 711 points, which is 5 points higher than the average score was just 1 year ago. And we obviously know there's a big difference between 1 year ago and what the economy in our world looks like right now. Now, with high unemployment and this economy that's in a recession that's created by this ongoing pandemic that we're all struggling through, I certainly wasn't expecting the average FICO scores of Americans to be rising right now. I was expecting the opposite. What about you? But here's one reason that this might be happening. According to Ethan Dornhelm, he's over at Fair Isaac Corporation. Those are the guys that build the FICO credit scoring algorithm. He told CNBC recently that the FICO scores really shouldn't be thought of as a leading indicator or a predictor of where the economy is headed, because there's typically a lag between major macroeconomic events and then changes in the average FICO scores. So for example, let's take the last recession. It wasn't until late 2009 when the FICO credit scoring average hit its lowest point, which was nearly 2 years after economists had ruled that the recession had actually started. Now, with the current recession caused by, the pandemic, there are some likely reasons behind the increase in average FICO credit score. So I want to unpack that together. The first is simply the steps that were taken by the government with the passing of the CARES Act in March. This economic relief bill, it helped millions of Americans defer their mortgage payments for up to 1 year, and it's led to a decrease in consumer debt levels. For example, in July of 2020, it was reported that US consumers had on average $6,004 in credit card debts. That was down from $6,934 back in January. And as you may know from a lot of the credit scoring content I love bringing you here on this channel, paying off your debt will reduce the utilization rate, which accounts for 30% of the FICO credit scoring calculation. Now, another driver behind the latest scoring figures was that missed payments that were reported in the credit file are also down. Another great piece of news. Only 7.3% of the population had a 90-plus day past due missed payment in the past 6 months as of July of 2020. That was sitting at 8.1% in January of this year. Now, one thing to note, if you haven't already, is that the two biggest factors that are leading to this higher average FICO credit score are the exact same two biggest aspects of what makes up a FICO credit score: on-time payments and credit utilization. Collectively, this accounts for 65% of a FICO credit score. Now, by the way, I'm curious about your thoughts here. What do you think FICO credit scores are going to be doing in the future? Are they going to continue to increase, or are we at the peak and it's all downhill from here? So let me know what your thoughts are about that. Also, if you'd like me to bring you more of this type of content where we give you these breaking statistics, make sure you smash that like button. It also helps me out a great deal. One final biggest driver contributing to the average FICO credit scores is that it's not supposed to negatively be affected by these forbearance or deferment agreements. And that's what I want to really make sure we focus on here. According to a recent USA Today article, accounts that were reported as current with credit reporting codes that were related to forbearance, deferments, or that a consumer has been affected by this disaster, it's not supposed to cause their scores to go down. And that's obviously great news if it's true for millions of consumers that are holding accounts that have been reported to be in some form of payment accommodation. But will this last after the forbearance period expires next year? That's my concern. And in my opinion, it could just delay the inevitable. There's a potential of the market flooding with foreclosures, which will cause average credit scores to drop unless some type of extension is given by lawmakers, of course. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that for you guys. But we recently dropped a video with one of my closest friends, Art Vasquez, who told me that his score had plummeted as a result of his forbearance. So I'm going to drop that link in the description. You guys tell me what you think. We're hearing two sides of this story. One other thing I want you to take note of is a recent email that I received from one of my coaching members. Now, he and I work together every month, and he recently alerted me that the first mortgage refinance that he's applying for on one of his rental properties was actually declined, stating he's an ineligible borrower. Now, why might that be? He took a forbearance just in case his tenants weren't able to continue to pay. Fortunately for him, they have been, and he's managed to stay on top of his finances. So I went ahead and advised, go ahead and get caught up on your forbearance, remove yourself from the forbearance program, and let's go ahead and proceed with the application on this refinance. Now, unfortunately, he was alerted by the bank that he's not an eligible borrower because at one point, that property was in fact in forbearance, and he has to actually maintain 12 consecutive months of on-time payments before he'll be considered an eligible borrower once again. So while it may not affect your credit scores, it's very important for you to understand that under only one circumstance should you be considering these types of stimulus relief programs, and it's if it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, it can most definitely cause you more headache and problems as a borrower in the future. Now, the last driver I want to mention here on this video that would increase or help to increase the average FICO credit scores would obviously be the extra unemployment benefits and these stimulus checks that have been issued by the government after the CARES Act was passed by Congress. For many, the expiration of these benefits are really going to start taking a toll, if they haven't already, on their finances and their ability to pay back debts that they owe now. Guys, if those can't be paid, then the average could come down. So how will this affect credit scores moving forward if no other government financial assistance is granted? I'd love to get your thoughts on this, so go ahead and leave a comment below. Now, before you go, I promised you helpful tips that would allow you to drive your credit scores higher much more quickly and safely, no matter what the economy is doing. The first tip is to find out where your credit score stands by either asking or requesting for your credit report from annualcreditreport.com, which you can do once per year. It's going to give you a starting point and help you find out what needs to be worked on in order to increase your scores. You need to have access to the ingredients. Another free resource that I always recommend to our audience here, as well as our coaching members through VIP, is creditkarma.com. You can view your credit history there. It gives you a free credit score every week. Now, keep in mind that creditkarma.com uses the Vantage credit scoring algorithm, which is slightly different from the FICO formula, but it will still give you a lot of really great information about your credit profile, as well as tons of ongoing tips to drive those scores higher. Now, if you have already done that and you're looking to boost your scores quickly, then the first thing I would recommend is looking into the piggybacking method, or also known as becoming an authorized user on somebody else's credit account. This is a great way to increase your credit score temporarily while using your higher credit profile to work on securing a more permanent increased credit score after you decide to unattach from the primary account holder. This is a really amazing method, and you can actually watch a video right here to see a more in-depth look into how this strategy works. I'm going to provide you all the semantics that you're going to want to watch out for as you're attempting that. Now, last thing here, and another very simple way of increasing your credit scores, is by calling your current credit card providers and asking for a credit limit increase. Now, one stipulation on this is to not allow them to run an inquiry on your credit. This defeats the purpose of this altogether. In fact, I usually just simply say, can this be done based on my credit history with you so far? If no, then I move on and I try again a few months later. But because your utilization ratio accounts for 30% of your credit score, by increasing your availability, you automatically decrease your utilization without even having to pay off any of your debts. So it's a very effective way to see easy credit scoring enhancement absolutely for free with just a few minutes of your time. One thing about that, and I cannot stress this enough, is just because you have a higher limit does not mean you have free rein to go out there and spend more money on frivolous things. It's very important that we keep the debts the same or lower, and obviously build those into a plan to attack and eliminate them on an accelerated basis. Those are just a few more very helpful tips. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel for more, and until we see you on the next video, make it a great day today, and take care.